I'm Ryan from ExtremeTerrain.com, and in this video we're going to talk all about rear bumpers for your JK. Now there are a couple different reasons that you might want to install a rear bumper on your JK, and there are also a couple different categories of rear bumper, so you have to pick the right one for what you're looking to do. You might be just looking to change up the look of your Jeep, you might be looking to add some functionality either on-road or off-road. So again, a couple of different categories and a couple of different options. What I'm going to do today is give you my pick of my favorite bumper in each one of the four main categories. So as far as a tubular bumper goes, we're going to talk about the Barricade tubular rear bumper with wraparound ends. For a rock crawler rear bumper, we're going to talk about the Red Rock 4x4 rock crawler rear bumper. For a more off-road style bumper, we're going to talk about the Barricade Trail Force HD rear bumper. And finally, for an off-road bumper with a tire carrier, we're going to talk about the Barricade Extreme HD rear bumper with tire carrier. Now, most of those bumpers are going to install very similarly onto your Jeep. You're going to go ahead and unbolt that factory rear bumper. You're going to bolt the aftermarket one in its place. Again, the install is going to be pretty simple for all of these and very similar, although the one with the tire carrier, of course, is going to have a couple of additional steps. But what we're going to do is go through each of the rear bumpers, talk about the features and the construction, so you can decide which bumper would be best for your build. So let's get into the options. A tubular bumper is going to give your JK a little bit more of a classic look. This bumper here from Barricade is their tubular bumper with wraparound ends, and as you can see on the corners here, it does wrap around on the sides of the tub a good bit, which is going to offer you that much more protection. There are of course tubular bumpers that just run straight across in the back. This one wraps around, I think gives it more of a finished look, and like I said, a little bit more protection. However, a bumper like this is not a hardcore off-road bumper. This isn't going to offer the protection of a plate steel off-road specific rear bumper. It's going to hold up certainly better than your plastic factory bumper, but again, not going to be able to stand up to the bumps and bruises of banging off rocks or stumps on the trail. As you'll notice, this is also not going to have D-ring mounts. It doesn't have the option for a tire carrier, no reverse lights. A lot of those other off-road features are going to be missing from this bumper. So this is going to be for those of you that want to give your Jeep an aftermarket look, a little bit more of that old school styling with the tubular rear bumper, and don't have a need or a want for those off-road features. This bumper is also going to be less expensive than more of those off-road specific rear bumpers, which is going to be a nice feature as well, as long as you don't want those off-road bumper benefits. As you can see down in here in the center, this does have a nice low and wide opening, so even if you are running a larger than factory spare tire in the factory spare tire location, you're not going to have any clearance between the spare and your new bumper. Rock crawler rear bumpers are a bit of a unique category. There are a few manufacturers that make a rock crawler style rear bumper, and a lot of them are going to look like this one. Now, this is still going to be made out of tubular steel, but it's not what I would consider to be a tubular rear bumper. As you can see, this looks drastically different from that tubular rear bumper that we just talked about from Barricade, and this is also going to be constructed a little bit differently. So this Red Rock 4x4 rock crawler rear bumper is going to be made out of 2-inch steel tubes, but they're going to be 0.12-inch wall thickness. They are going to be stronger. This is going to offer some protection against rock stumps and other off-road obstacles that you might come in contact with. Now, as you can tell, this is also going to be a very simple rear bumper. It's going to come up on the ends. It doesn't have a lot going on, especially on the outsides of the bumper. It is going to definitely increase your departure angle when you're coming down off of a very steep obstacle. This is still going to be a very no-frills bumper, but definitely offer a little bit more of that off-road styling than your tubular rear bumper without offering all of the weight or all of the functions of a truly off-road rear bumper. Again, no lights here, no high lift jacking points, no D-ring mounts, although this does have a 2-inch receiver in the center that can be used for recovery. It's not going to have some of those other features. And again, what this is going to do is help to keep the weight down a little bit, help to keep the cost down a little bit, give you an option where you can change up the look of your Jeep, add a little bit of protection, but not go all out to an off-road bumper that's going to be more expensive and a little bit heavier. This is definitely going to be a more off-road themed bumper. This is the Barricade Trail Force HD rear bumper, and as you can see, it is a more traditional plate steel rear bumper that's going to offer a ton of protection off-road. It's going to offer some of that off-road styling, and it's also going to offer some additional features that you're going to want if you're doing some off-roading, namely these D-ring mounts with the D-rings included. Those are going to be some recovery points. So if you're on the trail, you get high centered, stuck in mud, whatever it might be, you can have a buddy hook a winch onto this or a snatch strap or a tow strap and get you out of trouble. Those other bumpers that we talked about before aren't going to have those. This also has a 2-inch receiver in the center that can be used as a third recovery point if you needed to. Now, because this is designed to be used as a recovery bumper and also designed to offer a lot of protection to the Jeep, it's also going to attach very strongly to your Jeep. So it's going to have traditional brackets that are going to go on the frame rails, but it's also going to have a sandwich bracket and 4 bolts that go right across the rear cross member, giving you a ton of extra strength there. So this is going to be all about strength, all about protection, as well as changing up the look of your Jeep a little bit. Of course, you can see down in the center here, you have a nice deep cutout again, so if you are running a larger than factory spare on that factory spare tire mount, you're gonna have room for it. On the ends, this does come in. It comes around the edges of the tub a little bit, but it also keeps everything tucked up nice and neat and tight, so you're not gonna get hung up on rocks and off-road obstacles, but still have the protection against them. I've seen these bumpers take some pretty good abuse. They're made of a 5/32 inch steel, so you can drop a Jeep off a ledge onto a rock. You might get a little bit of a ding or a dent, but you're certainly not going to have all the damage that you would if you tried that maneuver with a factory plastic rear bumper. The last bumper we're going to talk about today is an off-road style bumper with a tire carrier, and this is the Barricade Extreme HD rear bumper with tire carrier that has a lot of features and a lot of style that I really like. Now, what sets the Extreme HD apart from the Trail Force HD is some of the design over here. You have a little bit of additional styling. The cutout in the center here is a little bit different, and the tire carrier that you can get with this Extreme HD bumper is different from the one that you would get with the Trail Force HD bumper as well. And the tire carrier has a lot of great features that I want to talk about also. So first, starting with the rest of the bumper here, it's going to be very beefy, very strong, has the D-ring mounts, includes the D-rings, also has a 2-inch receiver, pretty much like the Trail Force HD. Again, the style is going to be a little bit different here, but this is all about strength, this is all about durability, this is going to be a great off-road bumper for recovery and also for protection. You then move on to the tire carrier that is packed full of features. This thing is going to be adjustable in a couple of different ways. So you can raise or lower where the spare tire actually mounts on the spare tire carrier, keeping it as low as possible so you have as much visibility out the rear window, but as high as it needs to be to have clearance here in this well of the rear bumper. Now, not only can you adjust that tire carrier up and down, but you can also move the tire in and out. So depending on the width of the wheel, the width of the tire, the back spacing of your wheel, no matter what that scenario is, you can make sure that the tire is pressed nice and tight up against this tire carrier. That's going to keep it from rattling and torquing around, which can fatigue the metal and eventually cause things to break down. So you have that adjustability as well. Another area of adjustment and also of strength is going to be a couple of bump stops that mount right here on either side of this tire carrier, and those are adjustable in and out to ensure that they're going to firmly press on the bumpers that are on your tailgate, ensuring that, again, you're not going to have any rattling. When you have this thing closed, you have everything adjusted properly. The tire is one with the tire carrier, which is one with the tailgate, so nothing's going to rattle, nothing's going to move around, nothing is going to fatigue, and this whole setup's going to last you a very long time. On top of the adjustability and all the bump stops and everything that you get with the tire carrier, you're going to have a completely greasable spindle that you can take apart if you need to with a couple of snap rings, but this is also going to still be a clamp style spindle, which is something I like a lot, because if you do neglect this for a while, you get some salt in there, it gets corroded, you can't open and close it easily. Sometimes, if that was a solid tube, you wouldn't even be able to lift the tire carrier off of the spindle at all. With this, at least you can loosen up those 2 bolts, you can get everything apart, you can completely break it down, clean it up, put it back together, and keep it working. So that's a feature that I really like about this carrier as well. So this whole setup here is going to give you protection, it's going to give you style, it's going to give you off-road features, and of course, get your tire off of that factory location where it can cause a couple of different issues by being oversized or overweight. So this is going to be a really nice package. It's also going to be the most expensive option that we talked about today, but I think you would expect that. It also has the most features. So those are my picks for a rear bumper for your JK in each of the 4 main rear bumper categories. Of course, there are a lot of other options out there. These aren't the only bumpers, but these are some that I think represent the category and are my personal picks. Of course, we went through the tubular rear bumper, the Barricade tubular bumper with the wraparound ends, a rock crawler rear bumper from Red Rock 4x4. We talked about the Barricade Trail Force HD rear bumper for a more off-road themed rear bumper, and the Barricade Extreme HD rear bumper with a tire carrier for that sort of total package off-road bumper with tire carrier. Make sure you comment below, let us know what you think about each of my picks and what your favorite bumper is in each one of those main categories. And also make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel here to check out more great Jeep content like this, some Jeep builds, and some awesome product videos.